Hi guys,
I'm Jerry.
I'm Sierra.
We're ladies.
And we tangent.
What's up, everyone? Hello.
Did you see our YouTube comment?
Is there more than one, or is it the one that you shared?
It's the one I shared. You saw that I shared
Was
it.
there back and forth?
I don't think.
Okay.
Jake, let me know if I'm wrong.
State Farm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jake. But I think it was just very funny. So if nobody saw it, he said, "Tell the stories. You guys talk too damn much about nothing."
A white man.
Oh no!
Oh no!
It made me laugh so hard when I saw it. And I turned to Corey immediately and I said, "We're called Ladies and Tangents, not Ladies that Tell the Damn Stories." And then I laughed out loud at myself at that. So that's what I posted.
Yeah.
Anyways, what I wanted to say is, I don't know if you've seen them, but some of those responses we've gotten are so funny, because there were people that were like,
well, I just knew that our messages started popping off, and I was like, what the fuck is this about? Yeah. And then I saw the story and I was like, oh.
Okay,
oh.
Someone said this gives big Sierra energy, and I was like, it is me. Yes. It's me. I'm being upset at men again. You know how I do. Jake, this one's not for you. Just so you know, you can shut this one off.
Yeah.
This is not for you.
We're talking to TOO damn much.
TAMN. But a lot of people were saying the tangents are like 60% of the entertainment. They forget that, like, here's, I think, what rubbed me the wrong way about it, why I got so upset. If I may, Jake. Is that you're once again assuming that this is a man's world.
It's a man's world.
There are 4 million, at least, other podcasts out there, brother.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen to one that you don't like, that you don't jive with.
They're like, but you guys have the best stories.
So I mean, and maybe you're right. Learn how to fast forward your fucking phone. I don't know. To assume that you can manipulate a podcast that has been going on for 6 years.
Yeah.
Almost 5.5.
Yeah.
5.5
Coming up
years.
5.5.
To your liking,
Yeah.
to your specificity, and not giving a shit about anything else, because I want to hear the stories and I want to hear them now.
I'm going to be so mad about it if you don't just tell me the story.
But anyways, there was a lot of people, I won't share all of them, but there was just a lot of people that did this. She doesn't even go here.
Yes. I also thought of the one where, like, oh, are you new here?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, honey. And also, we couldn't be more clear. Tangents is in the name. We're not mathematicians.
That was the whole point of including tangents in the name.
Yeah. So you knew we were going to talk about
We
shit
are
that
women, and we cannot stay on topic. If
like
you
to
don't like those two things,
get the fuck out.
go on, get
the fuck out of here, brother.
Oh my God, Dad, get out of my room.
Out of my room. I'm with my friends. You're not invited. Stop listening to our stories about us fucking people.
Oh my God, you know what it's giving? It's giving ill when the stepdad. Yeah. Gary, get out of here, Gary.
Hell. Also, there was a lot of people that were like, of course it's a J name. God damn it. It's always a fucking J name. And the thing is, too, Jake, if you're still listening.
If I can call you Jake.
Jake, it's not all men, but it is always a man who leaves these kinds of fucking comments. So maybe you guys could look internally for a second and wonder why the fuck you have the gall. Because we don't get these messages from women. We don't get those from women.
Well, my thought is, what did you think was going to happen? We'd read that and we're like, oh my God.
He's so
You know what? I really do think we've been talking entirely too much on a platform when that is the point.
One of my favorites that I screenshot was, "Stop talking so much," he says to the podcast. It's so good. Anyways, that was just, I thought it was funny because I wanted people to know, Jake, I'm having a bit of a Crohn's flare. I don't know if you know what that is. I'm going to talk too much about it if you don't. But I'm not feeling well in my tummy, and blood's coming out of my ass at an alarming rate. Okay, I have to get a colonoscopy and I have to get biopsies in my hole, Jake. Okay.
She's being really brave, Jake.
Thank you. My tummy hurts and I'm mad at my car.
I'm mad at the government.
And I'm being really brave. And so you came at me at a weird time where I decided to publicly humiliate you. And now I wanted to double down on it because I'm just still feeling those feelings.
Yeah.
And just, hey, shut the fuck up.
We would like a retraction, Jake, if you could.
If you could publicly apologize.
In the comments below.
That's all I'm asking for. Nothing too big. Just a public apology. Very vulnerable, very real, very authentic public apology is all I'm asking.
Yeah. I don't think that's that much to ask.
I didn't think so either.
Oh my God. Wow.
Anyways, what's been going on with you?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm feeling much better.
I've been bed rotting.
That's good. I feel we need to. I feel we've been at a point in our lives where we got hit with a lot of shit.
Yeah.
All kind of all at once.
I was watching, I'm learning a lot about DBT, dialectal behavior therapy.
Okay.
I actually don't know if that's...
I thought you were talking about DB Cooper. I was like, I love that story, dude.
I don't know what that is.
What?
No.
He stole all that money on the plane, got away, no one's ever found him.
Is that Catch Me If You Can?
No.
That's Leonardo DiCaprio.
He's also kind of a problem, but we'll
talk
about that.
There was planes and money involved there, I think.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but I've been learning a lot about this specific kind of therapy that I think would be beneficial. And I've watched somebody have a session.
Oh.
And in that session, they were talking about how they suffer from like clinical depression, and they've had like 3 major depressive episodes that were like really, really bad.
Yikes.
And he said that when he stays busy, it kind of like distracts him.
Yeah.
And it's when he's not busy that everything kind of slows down and he feels more susceptible to the depressive symptoms. And I realized that one of the reasons that I may be going through such a big issue right now is because for the entirety of a big change in my life, I was so busy that I wasn't able
to sit in it.
To just sit in it.
Do you know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you ever watched this episode of Grey's Anatomy, but there is an episode of Grey's Anatomy where this family gets into a car accident and they do a CT scan. They're coming in, they're on the stretchers, they're joking, they're laughing, whatever. They get the images from this scan and they're like, these injuries are catastrophic.
Yeah.
They are fatal. But the adrenaline from the crash and it kept them going. And so essentially she starts coding in the scanner, the MRI, because it was the first time that she was able to relax and feel everything. They were like, her body. So when they explained it to her family, because they were like, sorry, she came in here and she was
fine,
joking, laughing, sitting up, having a good time. And they're like, that was adrenaline. Once her body was able to rest and feel the extent of her injuries, it all came crashing down. That's what it reminds me of. Because I feel a small amount of that. I just feel like everything I felt the last year was kind of like, push that to the side. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to, let's focus on what's ahead of us right now. And we'll get to these issues later.
Yeah.
And then the holidays happened. And then January and February hit. And it was like, oh, you have some downtime.
Maybe that's why you're having such a intense flare. Is just because.
I think it all was my body finally being like, oh,
hey, we went through some shit.
Now, time to flare up.
Yeah. Well, it has been a year since we started Camp Tangents.
Weird to think about.
Crazy to think about.
So insane. Yeah. Where we were a year ago is a very crazy thought.
Well, and that's another thing.
Oh, for sure.
Is like, it's been a year. It's been a year
since. A lot of things.
And that.
Anniversaries are going to be tough.
Yeah.
That's what you have to remember. Yeah. It's kind of like it's grief.
Yeah.
It's grieving something. So even if it was like, it is a loss.
Yeah.
But if it was a death, any kind of anniversaries, birthdays, anniversaries in other ways, but also things, the day that it all happened, the day that things got moving, all of those are going to hit for a while.
Yeah.
Until they don't. And then that's okay. It also didn't help that yours matched up with a national holiday.
Yeah.
Of love.
Yeah.
That was great.
Which also happened to be a different anniversary. So it was like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we had joked
It
about
reminds me
like
of whenever my aunt died on Christmas. It's like, God
Yeah.
damn, this couldn't be
the
more.
Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away.
Couldn't be more opposite of a holiday for me. Now I'm having a lot of mixed feelings.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of internal reflection.
Yeah, sure.
I'm doing a lot of holding myself accountable. I'm learning a lot about agency, which I talked to you about one time, wanting to do an episode on the word agency and how it applies to people.
You might have to take you might have to take that one.
Well, and I wanted to.
Okay.
It's hard to talk about things when I feel like I'm not good at it.
I think you are. I think you're better than you think.
I don't know. I've been feeling shit lately.
Well,
but
we could take a break from.
Yeah.
Speaking of feeling shit, my stomach just started.
Oh no.
It's fine. But yeah, I understand not feeling that. But I'm also not good at what I do, and people tell me I'm great. It's very strange. I think no, I'm not, and they're like, "You did a great job," and I'm like, "Do we hear the same thing?" I don't think so. So
I make you sound really good when I
thank
edit.
you.
I take out almost every flub of a word.
Good. Well, that's good.
Yeah. Very seamless.
Good. Very seamstress. Piece me together.
Making
Put my
clothes.
dress on.
Or whatever.
Anyways, so
What do you have for me today?
it's February.
It is.
It's Black History Month.
Hell yeah.
I wanted to do a history episode anyways. I thought,
Well, then
why
they got
not?
rid of DEI, so we're not going to do one.
No, we don't have to. Why do we?
Yeah,
right?
what's the
the
point?
importance? Nothing.
Oh my God.
However, speaking of DEI, it's what?
Did you hear what Elon Musk's kid said to Trump?
Shut the fuck up.
Did you not hear this?
No, is that what he said? Didn't he say like, shut your fucking mouth? Or
He
something?
was like, you need to shush your mouth. You're not the real,
Real
president.
president.
You need to go away.
It's almost like, hey, I have a 3-year-old. Kids don't just say shit they don't hear.
Yeah.
So, who do you think's saying that?
Yeah.
Guys, I know every time we're like, we don't want to get political, and then everybody's like, blah, 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 but you got political. This is something that affects us all. Billionaires in charge of our country is bad. It's bad.
Bad.
I don't know if you know what an oligarchy is, but I implore you to look into it. It's headed that way. It's very scary.
Very scary.
Also, I'm not trying to be a dick, but this is just reality. Billionaires are not known for caring about other people.
100%.
They don't become billionaires because they're really generous and care for others.
Yep.
So
I need to tell you, I'm so sorry. I'm going to get political here because this is stupid.
it is stupid.
This
It's really
is
scary.
Stupid. There are 2
Bills
yes, that
I'm
have
just
been
a bill
put into
on Capitol Hill.
Congress.
Yes.
One of them is to change the
Trump.
name
Trump Mountain.
no
Well,
of
did you-
Greenland
Oh, it's a red,
to
white, and
red,
blue.
white, and blue land.
Did you hear about Trump Mountain though?
Did you hear about this one's scary? This one's actually scary. It
Yeah.
says that if your name on your driver's license does not
Yeah.
match your name
Yeah.
on your birth certificate,
Voting.
then you are not able to vote.
Yeah.
And a lot of people hear that and they're like, oh my gosh, that's going to affect trans people. But guess who else that affects?
Women.
Married
women. Yeah.
who have changed their name to match their husbands.
I told Corey I'm not until I see if that's going to get passed or not. I'm not changing my last name. I haven't changed my last name yet because we traveled so much.
Hey, Jerry Heron might be making a comeback.
Yeah, because I won't
call it a comeback.
I won't do it. I'm not
Yeah.
fucking around with that. It's voter suppression. Whether you think that it affects you or not, it's voter suppression on anybody
Yeah.
is bad, but it will affect you if you are not born. Yeah, your maternal last name. It's voter suppression for women. It's voter suppression for trans people. It's voter suppression for anybody who decided they don't fuck with the name that they were born with.
Adopted.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not good, guys. These are not good bills. We need to stand up and tell people that this
And
is
some
not
of them
okay.
are silly and stupid and other of them are scary. And
They
that's
are.
that's the hard thing is like they're all getting pushed into the same place.
Yeah, and they're all happening at the same time because then it kind of gives you like this shock moment where you're like, whoa, I'm being overwhelmed. It's what you and I
That's
just
the
felt
point,
this last year. there's too much going on at one time. I have to focus on this one specific thing because otherwise I'm horribly overwhelmed.
Yeah. So I got to check out mentally, but that's
not good.
Yeah.
And I just want everybody to be aware of what's happening. Corey will sit there and I'll be like, did you know this is happening? He's like, what? I'm like, every day it's a new thing. And please be aware whether or not you need to know what affects you and what will affect you in the future. And it's a lot of change happening all at one time. And it's supposed to be like that so that we miss little things. But like you said, that bill being like snuck in with a bill like red, white, and blue land is something
and Trump
that
Mountain.
It's going to be.
Does he want to be?
It's going to be in West Virginia, I think.
It's going to be in West Virginia?
Trump Mountain. That's the bill that was just introduced. I wish I was joking. Don't
we have other things to do?
Yeah.
Apparently not.
We have so much. Hold on, wait. Let me double check that I'm correct because I would hate to say something if I just saw it.
Well, I had to look up the red, white, and blue land.
It's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That I know for sure.
That's insane.
Yeah. Trump Mountain. The bill that was just entered would rename West Virginia's Spruce Knob to Trump Mountain after his death.
How about instead of changing it to Trump Mountain, we change Trump's name to Spruce Knob? President Knob.
I like that so much better, dude. And also, if we don't care about names like the Gulf of America, why don't we just change yours while we're at it? President Knob.
Calling you President Knob.
Old Spruce.
Spruce Knob. I like there's one creator on TikTok who's like, hey, why aren't we calling him Tronald Dump?
That's a really great question. Because that's a good swap, dude.
It is a good swap. So just a few things. If we're presenting stuff into Congress, I would like to present those two things since we're changing names.
Jake, are you still listening? I'm sure you work for Congress. With how much audacity you have to think that people care about what you want to hear.
He's the state representative of Wisconsin, which has also just been changed from Wisconsin.
Oh, Jake Mountain. Okay, everybody. So, it's Black History Month.
Yes.
It's important. This is something that we need to hear about, we need to learn about. And I had a really difficult time deciding, not because I couldn't find anything, but because I found way too much.
Yeah.
I couldn't narrow it down. I told Jerry, I said, the final thing that I landed on, I started researching and really going into heavily last night.
Yeah.
Because I probably researched and went into about 6 different topics this last week. The last 2 weeks, to be honest.
Yeah.
Including, but not limited to, and I'll tell you a little bit because we might go into some detail later, but the deadly voting rights campaign known as Freedom Summer. We'll talk about that at another point. The successful Black labor rights movement during the Great Depression and the long fight for desegregation in schools are a couple of them. A woman by the name of Eunice Carter, who was the first Black district attorney assistant of New York, who helped bring down mobster Lucky Luciano.
Dope.
Yes, that was a really good one. Do you
think the mob is still as big as it used to be?
No comment. I would like to no comment on that. I'm not trying to piss more people off.
I don't fuck with the mob. I don't know anything about that.
What you're doing, and I don't want to know. I was going to tell you the story about American Sirens, the incredible story of America's first paramedics, who were a group of all Black men.
Oh, wow.
Who were specifically there doing it on their own, volunteering for their community, because back in the day, here's just a little story about it. Back in the day, and by back in the day, I mean like before the 1970s.
Yeah.
There were no paramedics. Do you know how you got to the hospital if you needed to get to the hospital? Cops. Guess who that didn't serve very well?
Yes.
Black communities.
Yep.
And so there would be an average of 50,000 people a year who would die.
Jesus.
Because they didn't get medical care in time. And so these men they trained other people, they trained themselves, they went to work, and they became the first paramedics. But we'll talk about that
That's
another time. I know it was going to be the topic today, but I switched it at the last minute. And I was also going to tell you about the first Black woman to run for president. There was 2 of them, back to back. But 1960s, 1970s, we'll talk about that in another time, because who we're going to talk about today is a woman by the name of Mary Kenner.
Okay.
She's a woman in STEM. She's an inventor.
Hell yeah.
And we love her. So I got a lot of this there's an article on uniquecoloring.com about Mary Kenner. Also, Mary Beatrice Davidson Kenner. I also listened to another podcast, which I love, and they don't have they just have a smaller following, at least on Instagram, 1,000 some people. I believe it's called HERSTORY on the Rocks. That's TikTok.
Got me, girl.
Got me, girl.
Got me, girls. Somebody's got to wear a pretty skirt.
Okay, here's what it is. It's called Her Story on the Rocks. And their whole thing is that they make little cocktails. And then they tell you 2 stories of women.
Cute.
It's so
love that.
good. It was so nice. And their episode, Kate and Mary, which is the one I listened to. Let me see if it shows which episode it is. Episode 271, Kate and Mary, was about Kate Spade and Mary Kenner.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that's just a couple of the things, but we'll link everything else that I used in our show notes. But Mary Beatrice Davidson was born on May 17th, which is my mom's birthday.
Cute.
1912. Okay. In Monroe, North Carolina, in the South. She was had a very inventive spirit at a very young age. And this is because probably she came from a family of inventors. So her father, Sidney Nathaniel Davidson, patented a clothing presser in 1914 that was compact enough to fit inside a suitcase.
Oh, wow.
So the thought is that you would go, let's say you're a businessman, you have to travel. You could press your suits on the go.
Genius.
I know, except, again, this is a Black family, keep in mind.
Yep.
He got an offer to take his idea and patent it and do all those things for $20,000. He declined it, said, no, I'm going to patent it myself. I'm going to sell it myself.
Blocked.
Yes. Didn't work out. So he ended up only having enough money to make because patents cost money in themselves.
Yeah. Yep.
Then to make the product yourself. So he makes it, sells it. He has enough money to make and sell one, makes $14 off of it. And he had gotten an offer to have the idea, whatever, sell it for $20,000.
Oof.
Back in 1912. But that's a man who has, I understand it a little bit. You have values, you have core beliefs, you have, principles. However, sometimes those have to go out the window for money.
Yeah. Because $20,000 in 1914 is...
That could really do something for your family.
Yeah.
But alas, here's where we are. And again, it's just another example of had he been a white man, potentially he really could have gotten up and done it, but it's hard to make it and sell it as a Black salesman.
Yeah.
It's like you don't
have the same resources.
And you're not being taken as seriously. Yep. You know what I mean? So, especially not in 1914. Also, her maternal grandfather, so her mom's dad, Robert Fromberger. Fromberger.
I think that's in California.
Okay. Home of the good burger. Can't take your order. He patented 2 different inventions, a tricolor light signal for trains and a wheeled stretcher for ambulances. Or at that point were cop cars that were cop vans.
Interesting.
So he came up with the wheeled stretcher.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, also, Mary Kenner's sister, Mildred.
Big brain in that family.
Big brains.
Yeah.
Big brains, and they're thinking constantly. Her sister, Mildred Davidson Austin Smith, also patented a board game in 1980.
Fun.
So they're just making shit. They're inventing shit. Mary Kenner invents her first invention in, guess how old she was? What age?
She was in first grade.
She's 6 years old.
So
yes,
close.
When she comes up with her first invention, she's really annoyed by the fact that her mom keeps waking her up by the squeaking of the doors when she comes to check on her, right? So she decides, what am I going to do? I'm going to invent a self-oiling door hinge to stop the squeaking. And she does it.
What?
Not only that, but she also decides, you know what's really annoying? When you go outside with an umbrella and it's raining like crazy, and that's great, you're dry now, but then you come inside to the dry and you put your umbrella down and now rain wet all over your floor.
Right.
The outside waters in the inside now.
It's no good.
So she invented a sponge attachment for the top of umbrella, so when you turned it over, it would absorb the water.
Wow.
As
big brain.
6 to 10-year-old.
Yeah,
she comes up with
that's
these.
big brain.
Big brain. She also invents one more. A portable ashtray that you could attach to your cigarette pack.
Wow.
So when you're smoking, you don't have to flick it everywhere. You have your little
Was that a real problem for her as a 6-year-old?
No, but she's like, I'm tired of these goddamn ashes all over the fucking place.
We got water, we got ashes. It's a mess in here.
It's a mess. I'm making paste. I'm oiling the doors with it. Please. So she decides that she wants to invent these things. However, you can invent everything you want, but to get a patent, you need money. So she has a passion for innovation and creativity. At this point, they moved to Washington, D.C., okay? And they moved right down the street from the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
Okay.
Very nice for her. She's so excited. It probably,
I'm going to go banging on this door.
Probably was helpful because she was in a family of inventors, and that's why they did it. She does this in 1924, by the way, when she's 12 years old.
Okay.
She goes and she visits it often. Not only does she want to visit to just like go to the office, but she likes to check to see if what she is inventing or thinking of has already been invented by someone else, already has a patent on it. Because why waste my big brain energy if it's already been patented? Then we move on to the next best thing.
Been there, done that, moving on.
And she also is delighted to know that she's coming up with these original and unique experiences because a lot of times she goes and there's nothing for them. So she's like, God damn, I'm on to something here. And that has to be so fun. Here's the thing that I think about. When I think about inventors, I go straight to stew pickles. Okay? I'm going straight out
of all the inventors, stew pickles?
Well, it's just the first time as a child that I understood what an inventor is, because he invented toys, right? That was his thing, I believe. And I remember the episodes would just have him. That was all he was thinking about, was constantly these little gadgets, and some of them are so ridiculous. But if you do enough, you're coming up with things that eventually will work for
something's gonna stick.
And even if you come up with something bulky and crazy, it could lead to something where in the future you have better tools. You can come up with something that. So I think the way that their brains work are very interesting. Because they're always looking at solving a problem. And for Mary Kenner specifically, and you'll see this when I tell you.
So far, everything that she's wanted to solve has been an annoyance. She's like, I'm annoyed.
For sure. But what she ends up having, and the reason why I picked her, you'll see with her, one of her, I would say most talked about inventions, but not talked about at the same time. But it is also an annoyance factor. But she also came up with quite a few things she's thinking about people later on in life with her inventions that don't get thought about often.
Love that.
And you'll see here shortly when I tell you what she came up with. So, to her delight, she finds out that her ideas were original and unique. And then she graduates from Dunbar High School in 1931 and enrolls at Howard University. But she has to drop out eventually due to financial difficulties. Because again, it's tough anyways, but it's hard when you know that you're smart enough and because of money you don't have those opportunities. And everybody, that's when we talk about privilege. that's what we're talking about. And especially when we talk about things like white privilege, it's because white people had access to money and things like that, like family money.
Generational wealth
Over any other minority, but especially Black people.
Yes.
Because speaking of, the Super Bowl halftime show. The reason I'm going into that is because
40 acres and a mule.
40
this is bigger
acres
than the music.
and a mule. This is bigger than the music. Number one, just the way that so many older white people completely missed the message.
So completely missed the message.
They got it so wrong. They thought it was. They went real deep into like Pizzagate, Hillary Clinton's emails, Save the Children. They're putting them in Wayfair fucking dressers.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey,
no.
He couldn't have been more clear on some of the shit he was saying.
Yeah.
40 acres and a mule were one of those things. I couldn't believe how many people online I had to explain that to.
Like what that was?
Who didn't understand what that was. Yeah. So if you don't know, no shame, but just so you are educated, 40 acres and a mule was the reparations that slaves were supposed to get when they were granted freedom by Abraham Lincoln. Mm-hmm. That was part of their freedom. They were going to gain their freedom, but also gain land and an animal so that they could start a farm, so that they could
work towards becoming wealth.
Something. Yes. It was
because prior to that, they were not able to earn money
at all.
Right.
So, and guess what? Then Abraham Lincoln's assassinated and the government takes back their promise to them. And then they were given nothing and they had to start from below zero. I mean, literally from the ground up.
Right. And then laws were put in place where they weren't able to access jobs
or go to schools for education or, I mean, we could go into all of that, but that's for a separate time.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's just what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
But what a fucking halftime show. God damn.
I know.
I was screaming. The whole time I was screaming, I was like, he's a genius. I loved it. Anyways, okay. She goes to Howard University, has to drop out. So she starts working various jobs to support herself, and she becomes a federal worker during World War II. During World War II, she also meets her first husband. He's a soldier. They get married in 1945. Doesn't last. They divorced in 1950. Okay. But just like, I like to include him because old first husband.
We've all got him.
We've all been there.
We've all got him.
But just know he's not that important to the story. Of course.
Right.
During this time as well, she becomes a florist, and she actually opens multiple like floral shops.
Love it.
So she's an entrepreneur on top of an inventor.
Yep.
She's doing the damn thing. Okay. And she's inventing this whole time in her spare time. Then in 1951, she marries James Jabbo Kenner, and they start a family, but they don't have their own children. They instead become foster parents.
Aww.
And they end up fostering 5 children over a span of time, and they actually adopt one of them. His name is Woodrow. And so, yeah.
I love it.
So cute.
Woody.
Oh,
my goodness.
So she's really kind of all about like helping those who are less fortunate, I think. And she goes about that with her inventions, because her first and probably most notable invention, besides the one that I think still has a patent today, her first patent she ever does is in 1957 for the adjustable sanitary belt. And now I'm going to talk to you about periods.
Okay,
that's where it's all right.
Okay.
Jake, are you still listening, brother?
We're talking about menstruation.
We're going to talk about menstruation.
Jake, you putting the men in menstruation?
Thank you for being here, Jake, for the menstrual cycle. So I don't know if you know much, Jerry, about menstruation back in the day.
I barely know much about menstruation today.
Because it's so taboo. And if you can imagine how taboo it is now, think about what it was like in the 1950s.
Well, I know that at some point they would just like send women to a barn and they're like, you go
cabin in the woods, you go bleed with your friends for a week.
And then you come back.
And it's because for a long time there were no other options besides shoving rags in your pants, essentially. and bleeding all over them, or just free bleeding in your clothes. And that was unsightly.
What a power move.
It is a kind of a power move.
What a power move.
The way that I kind of wish they would bring back going to cabins to bleed with your friends.
Oh my God. Airbnb.
It's so fucking
air bleed and bleed.
I would air bleed and bleed everywhere. You're just drinking wine, getting fucked up with your friends, and just having
movies and crying together.
It sounds like so much
Everyone's
fun.
just got like heating pads.
And I'm going to tell you about it because right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to deviate a little bit. We're going to talk about the history of menstruation.
Okay.
I am so excited. And the reason why I wanted to really highlight Mary Kenner for this was because not only does she not get the credit and the attention she deserves, a lot of it is because people don't want to talk about period products.
Right.
Grow the fuck up. We're going to talk
Yeah.
about periods, bitch. I'm going to talk about bleeding. Okay, so here's what we know about bleeding.
Uh-huh. Hey, if you're listening to this, you came from someone who bled.
Yes. That's period. That's on period. And that's on your mom's period, too. She had you. And here's the thing, too, with that statement.
You could have been a period.
You that's true. You should have been. No, I'm just kidding. We love you, and we're glad you're here. Not you, Jake, dude. Definitely not you. Let's take this all the way back.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. You know how people are like, your mom should have swallowed you?
Your mom should have bled you out.
Let's just say that. Your mom should have fucking menstruated you. Stop giving the credit to the semen.
No,
All right,
let's give the credit where it belongs, straight to that egg.
Yeah.
Straight to that uterus. All right. All the way back, let's talk about our first recorded mentions of menstruation. Ancient civilizations. I think the very first recorded one is a story where a woman pulls her bloody rags from out of her pants and throws it at someone in protest. Which is queen behavior. That's the most amazing shit I've ever heard, to be honest.
It sounds unhinged, but also like something I want to do.
Power move.
Yeah.
Power move. Let me throw my bloody rags at you.
Yeah.
It's important to note that up until very recent history, the only people who had the education, power, and influence to be writing and recording history were men.
Interesting.
And so because cisgendered men don't experience menstruation, we have very little recorded knowledge about periods. And what we do might strike you as a little silly, such as throwing your period out of somebody out of protest. However, hey guys, real quick. Gonna get political for a second because it's part of life and what we do. That's why diversity, equality, and inclusion are so important. Mm-hmm. It's because not everyone in the world has a flaccid wiener attached to them. Some of us bleed, and some of us, I think, need to be told about our bodies, and we can't be told about our bodies from people who don't have our bodies, because how the fuck else would they know?
Right.
Unless they studied us and our bodies.
Right. Especially when they also control where money goes, where funding goes to learn more about bodies that maybe aren't theirs.
Yep. Yeah.
So
it can get very frustrating. And it's upsetting to me when I think about it for long enough. But also, what is a little silly, that back in the day, Roman philosopher Pliny the Elder...
Not Pliny the Elder.
He was convinced that periods were some sort of magical sorcery.
And they are.
This is why...
Period, Pliny. They are.
He wrote that people, while on their periods, could kill entire fields of crops.
Watch me.
Could cause bees to leave their hives and could control the weather.
Well... Watch me cook. Let me cook. Let me cook. I will
Give me a week in the barn with my friends and let me see what I can come up with.
I will say my grandma was very serious that when she was canning tomatoes, whether she would like make sauce, and then she would make pizza sauce and marinara sauce, and then she would just can tomatoes. And if you were on your period, you were not allowed to be there for it.
What?
She was very fucking serious about it.
What?
She'd be like, "Are you on your cycle? Get out of my kitchen."
Oh,
because I guess it would mess with the tomatoes.
Produce?
I I guess.
Oh my God.
She's like, you're going to mess with the pH or something.
We have got to stop letting men tell us what is what.
I don't know.
They couldn't be more
Maybe
wrong.
it was the witchy side of her where she's
Could be. Your cycle's going to throw off my tomato.
He threw off his groove.
It's going to ferment my fruit.
Yeah.
So obviously he's wrong, but it shows how menstruation at that point was thought of as this mystical thing to be feared, not a very natural part of life that over 50% of the population experiences.
Natural and necessary for like
everybody.
Production of human life.
Exactly. Unfortunately, in the medieval times, attitudes towards menstruation weren't much better.
Mm-hmm.
Religious shame, then, we switch it. So here's where the switch takes place. They start believing that because periods come out of your vagina and are essential to the cycle of life and creating a child, that they are inherently sexual.
Gotcha.
So if you have a period, if you're bleeding, you're a whore. You're a whore. Right.
You're a whore.
It's all shame-based now.
Yep.
It's you must be having sex to be able to have a period or vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of religious shame.
That bitch Eve ate the apple and now it's coming out of your pants.
And that too. It was thought to be dirty. It was thought to be a cause of like, because she did this thing, you are punished forever for it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know that bitch. So I don't know why. I don't know why her issues are lying on me. That's crazy, dude.
I saw someone who was like,
I don't know her.
I think Adam lied. I think he ate the apple and that's why it's stuck in our throats. It was a man saying it.
I'll tell you right now, I believe fully that a man's a liar over a woman being greedy
or hungry.
Please.
Yeah.
Have some self-control. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, anyways. I don't think either one of them existed. Let's be so for real. If I'm being honest. If I'm just going to speak my truth. Sorry. So, because of this religious shame, it causes women to ultimately want to hide their periods, whereas they would free bleed before and throw their rags on people and control the weather and shit. We've lost a bit of our power.
Yep.
And I think that's really what it was all about. It's these people are too powerful. Look at them bleeding and creating life. That's a iconic behavior. We need to knock them down a couple pegs.
Right.
Because my dick is getting flaccid and I'm sad about it.
I need you guys to be ashamed of yourselves, not empowered by yourself.
Please. So that's what they do is they make it so that you have to hide this period. You're embarrassed of it. Mm-hmm. And they even believe that cramps themselves were a divine punishment for Eve's original sin. There it is. There's that bitch Eve again. Since cramps were seen as a punishment then, people who were menstruating were not offered pain relief ever.
You must sit in your eternal damnation.
You should sit in that punishment. Feel those feelings, you whore.
You dirty whore.
Whore bitch. And in an effort to ease some of the pain,
I'd be like, I don't feel anything. I'm fine. I'm not totally being punished.
I'm fucking fine. Bleed all over my crops for a second. So here's what women did. Women were like, all right, I'm not allowed any relief. I'm going to burn frogs.
What?
Burn their collected toads, lit them on fire, burn them, use their hot ashes, put them in a pouch, and tie them to their waist as heating pads.
Just girl things.
They were all witches. Let's just be so real. They were witches. So also
witches do like toads.
Yeah. But they did kill them. So now we are. We're in the 19th century. Okay. I lied. We're in 1888. We're close enough.
Okay.
The first disposable pads hit the market.
Okay.
Lister's towels by Johnson & Johnson.
Oh, those assholes.
Motherfuckers. So, World War I nurses found out that cellulose bandages that they were using to staunch bleeding on the field, they were like, you know what else bleeds heavily? Once a month, we could use these. And so they started kind of using those because the disposable towels, shocker, were expensive as fuck.
Right.
Because what do men want to do? They want to profit off our fucking periods.
Which is so
weird.
Bitches,
we can't control that. And you want to fucking make money off of
There
it.
is an
You want to
industry.
shame us, and then you want to profit, and you want to shame us for something that we cannot
You want to make us pay.
Yeah.
In any way that you can.
In any way you
Financially,
can.
physically, doesn't matter. That's bizarre.
Bitch.
Bizarre behavior that a product that is necessary for us monthly is
That
something that they profit off of.
Yeah. And it was expensive. So that's why
It's still expensive.
Right. So that's why these nurses found these bandages and they're like, guess what? We're just going to use these instead. Now, the problem was they were always kind of, there was no sticky adhesive as we know today. So you just kind of stuck them in there and hoped for the best. Now, if you're walking around, if you're taking care of kids, if you're walking in schools.
God forbid you do gymnastics.
Anything.
Like the commercials.
You can't do anything. These are sliding all around. You're getting leakages. And again, that's very embarrassing because men are going to make fun of you for it. And also women. It's just, it's very unseemly to be shown having your cycle. So,
ew, you whore bitch.
You whore bitch. So now we're back to Mary Kenner. Mary Kenner decides, I'm going to make this belt. And what her belt was at the time there was kind of a belt situation where it went around. It looks kind of like a diaper you would use if you were sumo wrestling.
Okay.
It goes around your waist and then a thong situation.
Yep.
However, the ones back then were kind of just like, that's it. And you could put your towel around it, kind of wrap it around it.
Okay.
And then put your underwear over it. But they were all one size fits all.
And that's not a thing.
Women are not one size.
Right.
So Mary Kenner decided to make an adjustable belt. She makes clips. You can adjust it. You can make it to whatever. She also puts on the part where you can put your towel, whatever you have, your disposable pad, whatever, if you can afford it. She puts a moisture-resistant pocket inside of there. So that you could put that in there. It doesn't slide around. It's leak-proof, right?
Hell yeah.
So nice.
Big brain energy.
Big brain energy. And so that's what she patents, okay? And the you can see they still have the original patent that she like drew and shit online.
Oh, wow.
So
that's so cool.
Here's where it gets less cool. Here's where I'm just going to say, commercial products such as Kotex pads were only used occasionally for school and for work. People weren't using them in their homes. And also women were dissatisfied with the size, thickness, and the stiffness. It didn't give them a lot of mobility. And they were really just kind of had to shuffle because you don't want to lose that and leak. Also, let me just say, speaking of periods, when I first started, like had my first period, I had such a heavy period when I was in high school. I would bleed for 9 to 12 days.
Jesus.
And the heaviest ones were 4 days straight.
Yikes.
It was horrific. Like, I can't imagine if I didn't have access to feminine hygiene products the way that I do now. I would have probably skipped whole weeks of school back then if I wouldn't have, because I was leaking through actual pads and stuff and tampons that I was having to do tampon situation. And it was
double up.
Oh my God, ridiculous. Now, thanks to birth control, I don't have that. So let's hope that there's no laws that make that go away either. Anyways, okay. So she comes up with this idea in the 1920s, but she can't afford to actually patent it until 3 decades later. But she does patent it.
Okay.
3 decades later, she patents it. And the Sewn Nappak Company, they do like menstrual products, I believe, sanitary napkins. They come towards her and they express interest in her invention. And actually, she is reported as saying, let me find this quote that I have for her. She said, "I was so jubilant. I saw houses, cars, and everything to come my way."
Oh, wow.
But next quote says, "I'm sorry to say, when they found out I was black, their interest dropped." So they meet her. They find out that she's not only a woman, she's a black woman. And they immediately rescind their offer. And
that's horrible.
Horrible.
And stupid.
And what they do then is they wait for her patent to wear out because you have
to. And then they take it.
And then they take it. And she gets 0 credit and 0 money from her invention. But she doesn't let this deter her from her dreams. Her goal is to make products for people who don't have people making products for them, who have real issues. So she perseveres in inventing despite her obstacles with race and gender, being a woman. It's very hard. It's a double minority there, babe. You're a black woman in America
Yep.
in the 1950s.
Yep.
But in 1976, her sister is diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, MS. And so she patents a walker with a tray and pocket so that her sister, who would have trouble carrying things when she was utilizing her walker, could carry things while she was using her walker.
Oh, wow.
And she keeps that patent, and it's still available today, the patent on it. And in the 1980s, Kenner invents a toilet paper dispenser, which is probably her most utilized patent to date. It is the little roll that you could put your toilet paper on.
Yeah.
But she also invents a backwasher that you could attach to your shower wall for people with mobility or disability issues so they could wash their backs by themselves in the shower. So she was always thinking about those who weren't able to kind of, who weren't weren't thinking about.
And she wanted to give independence to people who were probably previously treated like they couldn't do things for themselves.
They needed to be dependent on people. Yes. And she was like, no, you don't. You just need something that works for you.
Yes. That's amazing.
I know. She's incredible. To this date, I believe, as long as the research I looked up is correct, she still has the most patents of any Black woman.
That's amazing.
For inventing. And she is somebody that we never hear about in history. And she invented so many things that people still utilize to this day. Mary Kenner ends up passing away on January 13th in 2006 in Washington, D.C. at the age of 93 years old. Yes, she lived a very long life.
Yeah.
She did not receive any awards, any fame, or any wealth during her lifetime. She barely gets any recognition for any of the things she did. All of her patents were kind of taken and then utilized by other people and passed off as their ideas. But Kenner's inventions had a lasting impact on everyday life. She was an inspiring woman who used her creativity and intelligence to solve problems and improve the life for so many people. And she's one of the most prolific African-American women inventors in history.
Yeah.
Her quotes, let me just say, I have them right here. Two of them, my favorite quotes from her that she did in her later years in life. She said, "Every one person is born with a creative mind. Everyone has that capability."
Oh.
And she said, "I have had one goal in my life, that of playing some role in making life a little easier for the people who come after me."
That is amazing.
I know.
That is amazing, especially knowing that this is coming from somebody who has experienced so much adversity in their life and has not allowed that to deter them from still thinking of others.
Yes. Yes.
And providing for others.
So that's the story of Mary Kenner. I thought that it was somebody who really deserved a spotlight on them because I think that she doesn't get enough attention. And if there's anything that can be done, even though it's, she's passed away from now, she deserves a legacy because she was an incredible woman and she did so much for other people. And to know that not only did she not profit off of it, but she just also doesn't get the recognition is crazy.
Yeah,
so
absolutely crazy. And also, unfortunately, too common for Black women in general.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah. And especially any woman or anybody who is dealing in something like menstruation. That is a taboo subject that we're not supposed to talk about. When it's like, no, shoot, what she did revolutionized how women could be on their periods in that day and age. Like literally, you changed the game for people who thought that they just had to sit at home, essentially, or, only
she improved the quality of life for so many people.
You have to buy these super stiff, uncomfortable, gaudy, expensive things just to be able to go to school or work.
Mm-hmm.
No. She said, nope, I'm going to make life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it honestly is what catapulted the modern pad and the modern tampon that we have today. And oh my God, it's crazy how far it's come to where we have discs, we have cups, we have so many things at our fingertips now. I also, while we had time, just at the very end, wanted to highlight a couple other inventors who were women, or at least one that I really liked. Her name was Alice H. Parker, and she designed the very first gas-powered home heating system.
Oh, wow.
It was a system that brought in cold air, heated it up with coils, heated by gas, warmed up by gas, and then it would go through different ducts in your house.
Amazing.
Okay. This design also incorporated zone heating, so you could heat certain areas of your home at a time, but not others, which saved gas and money. And it decreased the risk of, like, I don't know, a house fire because you weren't leaving a fire burning, an actual fire burning in your chimney all night long. And that system is what our modern HVAC systems are built on to this day.
That's crazy.
And she was born in 1985.
What?
Patented this in her 20s and sadly passed away at the age of 25 in 1920.
What?
Yes. And she never gets talked about.
Wait
Alice
a minute.
Parker.
Wait a minute. When did the patent go?
In the 1915-ish time when she was in her 20s.
1985.
Was when 1895 is when she was born.
Gotcha. Okay. You said 1985
I'm
the
so
first
sorry.
time.
That is my dyscalculia. I apologize. That is the
okay.
dyslexia with numbers. Yeah.
I was like, my math is not doing well.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
1895 was when she was born.
Okay.
So, and then they patented it in like the 1910s, 1915 time, and then she passes away in 1920.
That's so sad.
And on top of her not getting the credit, not getting paid, we don't even have a solid day for her birth or death. When I would look into it, 'cause she was one that I was going to do as well.
Yeah.
I couldn't even find anything about her childhood or anything about her when her actual even birthday was.
That's so sad.
Right? It's like these people that are just forgotten about.
Yeah.
When literally and everything that we use in heating and cooling now came from that idea that she came up with.
Yes.
So,
Dang, that's wild.
Please, please, please don't let this be the only month or the last month that you look into these things. There's so many people, immigrants, minorities who had such an impact on our lives, on where we are as a country, that are just completely forgotten about, and that can't be that way.
Yeah.
So keep looking into it. I'm going to keep doing these. Like I said, I already have like 5 in my in my back pocket for the next time that I want to do some. So, this will definitely be a recurring theme.
Yeah.
That we're going to
thank you for sharing that. That was an incredible story.
Thank you.
So much fun.
Thank you.
Honestly.
And like I said, it was hard to choose, not because I didn't have enough. I had too many good stories. Like they all were like made me feel like that.
Right.
When I heard them, and I was like, how do you choose?
Yeah.
How do I pick?
Yeah.
So I'm very glad that I was able to do that and highlight her. I think that she deserves to be highlighted all the time.
I agree.
Yeah.
And something small that you guys can do. I know that there are Black creators on the internet everywhere who share stories like this or highlight current stories and are uplifting the Black community or minority communities constantly. And so that is just like a small way that you can expose yourself to something that you may not otherwise be exposed to.
We can link some of our favorite ones as well down below. So go check them out and give them a follow. And yeah.
And thanks for hanging out with us, everyone. We love you so much, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
We're out.
Goodbye.